promote no nuclear war approached, Leppo began to come by Peter's house more often. He had become one of the many hangers-on who some say took advantage of Peter's generosity. According to friends, Peter had loaned money to Leppo several times. But with his now frenetic schedule, Peter had little time for the ex-con.
Every 2-3 weeks, he visited the house, looking handouts. That was about it.
On the night of September 11th, 1987, Peter's house was teeming with energy. Peter, Marlene, and numerous friends were making excited plans for the upcoming tour. Someone knocked at the gate. When it opened, there stood Leppo and 2 other men, armed with guns.
I opened the door to the reception area, and they stepped in. All 3 of them stepped in. That's when I saw one of them pull a gun at me. By this time, the other one also pulled a gun. So there was 2 guns pointed at me.
Mikey came in the room, like he was under pressure, like, you know what I mean? So immediately as he came in, I saw this guy, Leppo. He just came in with a gun and said, hey, this is a stick up.
One of them said to Peter that you're gonna dead tonight, so you nobody said nothing.
Leppo, he said, where is the money we have in the house? Okay. Marlene answered, we have no money in the house.
They hit Tosh in his head with a gun. They butt him in his head, you know, and tell him to lie down.
And they tell everybody to get down on the floor.
Just then, 2 of Peter's friends arrived at the house. The gunmen immediately ushered them inside at gunpoint.
When we got there, they already started to beat on Peter because he was bleeding, you know, head-wise.
One of them came back around with Peter's machete from under Tosh's bed and said they was gonna behead him. And he went over to Tosh to chop off his head. And then that's the time I jumped up and me and one of them caught fighting. In a way, I was gun-butted and kicked to the floor.
Realizing Leppo and his accomplices weren't going to leave empty-handed, Peter assured them he would give the assailants money at a later date.
The last sentence that he said, his voice was all breaking up and showing nervousness, and he was stuttering. But he's like saying, like, I can make some arrangement some other time.
For a moment, I could smell blood, you know, you get that sensation of death, you know.
For what seemed like an eternity, Leppo and the 2 gunmen considered Peter's offer, then opened fire.
There was more than 30 shots.
Bam, bam, bam.
The second shot I got was in my head, went right through.
Here, one is here, and the other foot is down here.
This shot was one that came through Marlene's scalp and ended up in my mouth.
I got shot in my shoulder.
After emptying their guns, the shooters fled into the Jamaican night. Inside the house, 1 man was dead, another was mortally wounded, and Peter lay in a widening pool of blood from 2 point-blank gunshots to the head. Peter died later that night at a local hospital. He was just 42 years old.
The murder scene was a horror show. There were pools of blood everywhere. It was a terrible, violent, unnecessary way for this great artist to die.
His murder plunged Jamaica into mourning over its fallen son, and thousands came to pay their respects.
At the National Arena in the capital, Kingston, the Jamaican people mourn the loss of yet another of their reggae superstars, Peter Tosh.
A week after the massacre, Peter's so-called friend, ex-con Dennis Leppo Laban, was arrested and charged with the murders. His conviction came in 11 minutes, the fastest in the history of the Jamaican judicial system. Leppo is currently serving a life sentence in this Jamaican prison. The other 2 gunmen have never been caught or identified.
It was an assassination. It was one of the most powerful voices in the history of modern music. One of the most unbowed, politicized, militant voices ever, being silenced by these 3 morons who came to rob the earth of one of its greatest spirits.
You can't blame you.
Throughout his career, Peter Tosh complained bitterly that he was denied the status and respect his music deserved. Ironically, Peter's greatest honor came after his passing. His final album, No Nuclear War, won a Grammy Award in 1988, an honor his longtime friend and sometime rival Bob Marley has never received. When they joined forces in Jamaica's Trenchtown ghetto in 1959, neither Peter Tosh nor his friend Bob Marley imagined they'd change the face of modern music, but they did. Their songs of social and political protest have earned them a place of honor in music history and made them icons around the world.
Bob and Peter became these huge sort of third world saints. Their legacy lives on not only in their music, but in their images. You see them everywhere in the world, not just Jamaica. They're planetary figures.
Today, more than a decade after his death, Peter Tosh's reputation continues to grow. His forceful songs of protest have influenced a generation of musicians and inspired countless people to continue fighting against oppression. A memorial to Peter Tosh is being built on his mother's property in Jamaica, not far from Peter's final resting place.
Everybody wants to go up to heaven, I say. Nobody wants to die.
Even though the memorial is unfinished, hundreds of fans visit the site every year. They seem to derive comfort from making the pilgrimage, and Peter's mother hopes that he too is finally at peace.
He's my only child, and he's glad to be here. If we have any understanding, he's glad he's here by me. He's glad.
Peter Tosh's passionate beliefs and aggressive stance endeared him to millions, but also earned him a legion of enemies. He was jailed and beaten countless times for his blistering criticism of power-hungry politicians and oppressive governments. Yet still, Peter Tosh stayed true to his beliefs and fought tirelessly against racism, poverty, and injustice.
He was a loose cannon. He was a bomb thrower. He could have taken the easy way many times. Peter could have sold out at any point in his career, but he was a man of principle. He was a man of courage, and he had a conviction that what he was doing is right. He never took the easy way. Everything was a struggle with Peter Tosh.
It's only the truth that can make a man live. It is only the truth that can make a man free.